Okay. Good evening. Welcome to Grand Blanc Township Board meeting for Tuesday, October 15th. If we could all rise for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Clerk Robertson, if you could call the roll at this time.
I'd be happy to call the roll, Mr. Supervisor. Trustee Hugo.
Here.
Trustee Fike.
Here.
Trustee Raridan.
Here.
Trustee White.
Here.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Here.
Myself, I'm here. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7 members present, a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And now I will entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. Motion by Ms. Hugo, supported by Dr. Raridan.
Motion by Hugo, supported by Raridan for the agenda. Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Okay. And we ask that anybody that would like to make public comment, we have comment cards over here on the table that we just ask that you complete, so you don't have to give your name and address over the public address system. And so if you want to make public comment, we just ask that you fill one of those out and bring it up here to Dr. Raridan on the end. And we'll go ahead and get started on public comment. And we don't need the whole thing filled out, just the name and address would be great for follow-up. With that, I have Sherry Bennett would like to make public comment. Jokingly refer to her as the advisor to the supervisor. So I'm interested or curious to hear what she has to say this evening.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Bennett, and I am the very proud wife of Scott Bennett, Grand Blanc Township Supervisor, who is running for re-election. For those of you who don't know my husband, let me introduce you. Scott and I have lived in the township for over 20 years. We have 2 beautiful children. Ashley lives in Metamora with her husband, and Trevor lives in Chicago and will be married next year. Scott is the most honest, most honorable person I know. If he says he will do something, he will do it. Every meeting he attends, every decision he makes, every board meeting he chairs is with the intention of doing the best job possible for the people of Grand Blanc Township. I can't tell you the number of evenings and weekends that he spends returning phone calls and emails of residents. That used to bother me because I felt it took away from family time. Now this habit is just one of the many reasons why I'm so very proud of him. I'm not the only one who recognizes Scott as a person with the utmost level of integrity and capability. He has support from people of all walks of life and from both sides of the political spectrum. We are very thankful for the support of every single one of the board members before me, regardless of party affiliation. Add to that the fact that he has endorsements from 9 trade unions and multiple local business leaders, and the picture of Scott as a consensus builder becomes clear. Doing a job well and being a good leader is no easy task these days. It requires listening skills, commitment, experience, and an ability to engage people. Scott does all of that and more. Please join me in voting to re-elect my husband, Scott Bennett, for Grand Blanc Township Supervisor. Our community needs him. Thank you.
You have a good advisor.
Yeah. Thank you. We just celebrated our 37th anniversary last week.
That's very nice.
Thank you very much. We have Mike Yancho also would like to make comment. Did I see somebody else filling out one of these too? Okay.
Good afternoon, or evening, I guess. My name is Mike Yancho Sr., and I'm on the ballot for the open treasurer seat because Mark is retiring. So I'm going to give back to the community some of what the community has given to me. My family and I formerly owned and operated Trim Pines Farm on Baldwin Road, and it was recently sold and is met a better, higher usage. And so, having been retired, now I'm able to do some other things around the township to help this fine board out. And I heartily endorse every one of these fine people. As Mrs. Bennett pointed out, there are several parties, political parties represented here on the board, but they all agree that the job here is to make improvements for the township. And so I firmly endorse every one of these incumbent candidates. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yancho. And thank you for your service on our planning commission too, Mike. You're a valuable asset on that. And we have another individual. I don't have the name here, but come on up and you can introduce yourself. Good evening.
My name's Julie McCready.
Okay. Hi, Julie.
I'm speaking to you because of a noise ordinance.
I'm sorry, you're speaking what?
Noise ordinance, noise
Okay.
complaint. I don't know where else to turn. I've gone to the police. I've gone to Jeremy, who is here in the township. I talked to the chief earlier today. I live on Warwick Hills. And I'm nervous, I apologize.
Sure, take your time.
I've not ever done this.
You're fine.
I've been there for 2 years, and traffic has changed because of the Ally Challenge, lawnmower, things like that. There's a great deal of noise
Okay. Noise from the traffic, you're saying?
from the construction of the Ally Challenge, from the lawnmowers, and so on and so forth. When I spoke with the chief again today, he said he had officers out 4 days. September 30th at 6:30 a.m., October 3rd at 10:45 a.m., 6:45 a.m., excuse me, the 9th of October at 6:42, and the 14th of October at 6:30. And Detective Gilbert was, I believe, the officer that went out. Chief didn't know where he sat, where he was able to listen for noise, and so on and so forth. Every single morning, I'm awoken before 7. Some days it's 4:15 a.m., other days it's 5:15, never after 7. And when the Ally comes, they're working until 1:30 in the morning. It's half a year. All I'm asking is for them to start at 7 and stop at 9. I don't think it's unreasonable, especially because that is the ordinance for Grand Blanc Township. The decibels were heightened and increased due to another complaint by a business or people that were affected by a business. I've gone to Warwick Hills last year. I was denied a meeting with them. When I spoke with the chief earlier, he said that Jeremy Smith, instead of calling me to speak with me about my complaint, met with my condo association, my management company, and Warwick Hills. I have not heard from anyone. And I filed a complaint, I think, 3.5 weeks ago. And I just am asking for help. They should abide by Grand Blanc Township ordinance. I'm awoken every single morning out of a dead sleep. I had neck surgery in April. It's already hard enough for me to get a good night's rest. And unless you're telling me this business, Warwick Hills Country Club, which I am a member of, is above the ordinance of Grand Blanc Township. I guess I don't know what to do. So that's why I'm here. Hi, Joel. That's why I'm here asking for your help.
Okay.
And I know the Ally Challenge brings in a lot of money and so on and so forth. It's a great time. But at this point, it is directly affecting my ability to function, to everything about it. It just is at this point. And I have videotapes, documentation, journals of how many times, and I bought a decibel reader. I know the decibels that are going by my bedroom every single morning and night.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here. I don't know what else to do. And I guess I'm concerned that Mr. Smith, instead of reaching out to me after these meetings with my condo board, my condo association, and ironically, the attorney for our condo board and the management company we also met with is the Grand Blanc Township attorney, Mr. Bill Delzer. So I don't know where to go. And clearly, there's a conflict here. And so that's why I'm here. I'm asking for your help, some ideas, some resolution to this.
Okay.
Follow follow the ordinance,
Got it.
as I would have to.
Okay.
Thank you for hearing me, I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. McCready. We have your contact information, and we'll follow up. Thank you. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay. With that, we're going to move on. We'll close public comment, bring it back to the board here. And next, we have special recognition. And Chief, you want to come forward? But board's going to recognize two Grand Blanc Township Police Department's newest sworn officers in a badge pinning and oath of office ceremony here. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. I'm honored here to stand before you today to introduce our two newest officers of our staff. We are nearing our budgeted staff, which is 45. These officers here will make 42 and 43. And we currently have one enrolled in the Oakland Police Academy, which he is expected to graduate in December of this year. So that will bring our staffing up to 44. I attribute that to the community support and our reputation that we have amongst the community and our staff. So with that said, I'm going to introduce our two newest officers to our team and to the community, Aiden Lamp and Gavin Harwood. You could step up. Aiden Lamp comes from South Bend, Indiana. That's where he was born and raised. He had attended college where he obtained a master's degree in engineering. That ended up moving him out to the Lansing area, that particular job. Once he started that job, he said, you know what, this just isn't for me. So there's something more, I have a calling to provide public safety. So he ended up applying for the Lansing Police Department, got hired by them, they sent him to the police academy, and then his family ends up moving over towards this way, towards the Flint area. And he's like, you know what, I've heard nothing but great things about the Grand Blanc Township Police Department. I'm going to throw my name in the hat there because I do know that they have the application process open. He interviewed, did a great job, and he's actually been on our force for about 3 months now. He's in our field training program, and he's due to get out in about probably 3 weeks, so on solo patrol by himself, and he's done a fabulous job so far. Gavin Harwood, to Mr. Lapp's right, he is a Flushing graduate, so he's local, and he attended Mott Community College and the University of Michigan Flint, where he played hockey. So he's a hockey player. Actually, if he looks familiar to you, he's actually been one of our cadets for about a year before we sent him to the police academy. We recently sent him to the police academy, Oakland Police Academy, where he graduated number 3 in his class. That was just 2 weeks ago. So he's brand new, just started FTO, and he's already hit the ground running. He had his first drunk driving arrest yesterday, so a matter of fact. So we're very excited to have these two gentlemen on our staff, and we're looking forward to them accomplishing some big things.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, and Clerk Robertson,
If I could have Aiden Lamp call a person of his
Absolutely.
that wants to do the badge pinning. Aiden, okay? Okay, yep, come on up. And then Gavin, if you could call the person of your choosing up. Who are you calling up, Gavin? Okay, here you go.
Are you still facing the board?
Yep, so you're gonna face Mr. Robertson right here?
All right. Gentlemen, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
For the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of police officer
of police officer
in and for the Township of Grand Blanc,
in and for the Township of Grand Blanc,
County of Genesee,
County of Genesee,
and State of Michigan,
State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
It could have been pin the badge. All right.
One day they're going to make these with Velcro on the back.
Congratulations, buddy.
No rush.
Welcome. Congratulations again. You don't have to. Welcome aboard. Thank you, sir.
Use your good hand.
Perfect.
Congratulations, Bill.
Congratulations. You're welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. Bill, go. Congrats again. Congratulations.
Well, we certainly appreciate you two gentlemen joining our police force, and as we appreciate all our police officers. You know, it's, as a resident and township board member, you know, and somebody who watches police videos, you know, the concern is real for, you know, the potential crime that we have could come into our community, and we're just very proud that we have individuals like yourselves that are willing to put yourselves between those type of individuals and our residents and our visitors. So thank you very much from the bottom of all of our hearts here for your dedication and commitment to our community. So thank you. Anything else you'd like to say, Chief?
No, thank you for all your support, too.
Okay. Well, it was, I went down to the graduation at Oakland College for the graduation, and I tell you what, it was very, very patriotic and just amazing to see that many new police officers being graduated and being sworn in, and very moving event that I went to. So thank you for inviting me to that as well.
You're welcome. You do a great job.
Yes. If we want to take a couple of minute break and
Stand at ease.
we'll stand at ease and we'll let the police officers and their families meet out in the lobby if you'd like to. Okay, I think we're all set.
Okay.
Well, we'll go ahead and open our meeting back up here, and we'll move on to
Item 6, privilege presentation.
yes, item 6A, privilege presentation, and do we have our individual from Rose Pest Solution? Okay, we're going to skip over that this evening. We're going to wait till the next meeting to hear that report. And I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda at this time. Mr. Fike makes that motion, supported by Mr. White.
Consent agenda. Motion by Fike, supported by White. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Okay, and now at this time, we have under old business our strategic plan accomplishments that we wanted to run through. I don't want to spend time on each one of them. We'll be here for several hours just for that. But if I could have Ms. Roberts come up. As you know, Melissa is one of the people that helps us put together the strategic plan and also maintain where we're at on these things, and also helps carry out a number of them. In fact, the first one, the branding, I know that She and I worked on that over the past several years and accomplished much of what we see here. But good evening.
Evening.
Can I just tell us a little bit briefly about the branding and?
Very briefly about the branding, just wanted to, this is pretty much accomplished. We have rebranded the township with very little resources. As a matter of fact, our graphic designer that we hired was $500, and it created this beautiful logo for us. And we actually have a couple of different versions of it. And
So no consultants involved?
there were no consultants involved, no.
Okay.
And our street signs, as you know, were donated by Action Traffic, the ones that greet you as you enter into the township. Those were all donated by Action.
That's a significant contribution, as well as actually installing those.
And they installed them.
And I don't know, I think there's probably, Mr. Boggs, how many do you think there are? 25, 30? Well, there's quite a few of them anyways, but the bottom line is they installed,
32. We
okay,
knew that by heart for a while
Yeah.
there, but
they installed each of them too, which I'd love to see a side-by-side picture of what the previous logoed signage looked like compared to what it does now. In fact, even the sign out front, it's a significant improvement over what we had in the water towers and what have you, but
Yep.
I mean, branding is critical, I think, for any entity, and ours is looking very dated, if you could even figure out what it was from any kind of distance. So anything else on, I know we're going to look in the future of possibly doing some more signage at some of the entryways,
yes.
and that will come over time.
That's still in the plan.
Right.
Yeah. Just a couple other quick highlights I want to hit on this for you all. These are all, this is so important because these are all things that you said were important to you. And these are all of the things that you were able to accomplish while you were here. And I don't think any other board at Grand Blanc Township has ever accomplished the things that this board has accomplished in that short period of time while you're serving for us. A couple other really quick highlights that we updated on this is we completed under improving parks and recreation facilities, we completed the reconstruction of the pavilion and roof replacements due to the February 2024 tornado. Under Tech Village growth and DDA growth, we're working on creating a marketing plan for Tech Village in conjunction with the owners of the property. Pension and OPEB funding, we are putting another $1.1 million is earmarked for an additional contribution in December of 2024, so we're getting close to that. We're getting closer to that goal. Business licensing is coming in January 2025 with our new BSNA cloud-based system that we completed a conversion on, and that's part of our infrastructure IT upgrades. The DPW facility and fire station, obviously everyone knows what's going on with that right now because we were all at the groundbreaking yesterday. Highly competitive bid with a guaranteed maximum of $21.4 million, so better than we anticipated. And then under the township campus plan, we upgraded the badly deteriorated parking lot for the police department and added in there that we upgraded the township office sign even quite a while ago.
Yeah, with regard to the parking lot, if anybody had driven over there, they would see what a mess that was beginning to be. I understand, according to our DPW department, that parking lot never really was put in correctly from the sounds of it. And so we were correcting some mistakes from quite a few years ago. But it's been alligatored and starting to really sink through the asphalt and right into the stone layer underneath it, if there was any stone. So it was definitely needed. It wasn't just a cosmetic thing. It was definitely structural that we needed to do more than just put a top layer over it. So I think they did a fabulous job, too. So, yes, you hit on some very significant highlights. One of the things that stands out to me and his words stick in my head are Trustee Paul White's words from back when we were looking at the strategic plan. And Paul put so aptly that I want to do more than just approve the purchase of trucks and vehicles on this board. That when we walk away in 4 years or finish this term, we want to have some significant points that we put up on the board that we've accomplished. And I think, looking at these 3 pages, and if folks haven't seen this, it's in our meeting packet this evening that's online on our website, but you'll see a list, these are the list of all the things that we set out to do when we started almost 4 years ago that we've been able to accomplish. And, we've taken a lot of these things for granted because they've been so gradual over the 4 years. But when you compare when we started out, I'll give you an example. We have Nate Lucevelt, our IT director here. But I recall, Nate, how long have you been here? I'm sorry?
Since 2021.
Okay, so you came on just as we were getting rolling. Yeah. So with our IT, one of the things we did was we did an assessment of our IT to see where our deficits were. Our biggest fear was that, I'm not going to tell you my biggest fear, but, because I don't want it to come true, but, we had some concerns over our IT, and like a lot of organizations, it had been a patchwork of switches and network and all this stuff, all, just kind of put together. It wasn't anybody's fault, it's just that the resources just hadn't been committed to it, or the expertise. And we did that assessment, and we said, how in the world are we going to pay for all these upgrades? And we put together a plan that what we were going to accomplish over the next 4 years on that. And we hired Nate. And you know what? We are so much further ahead of where we were when we started. I mean, just visually looking at our room where we keep, where the servers used to be, a lot of our switches is just amazing how cleaned up that is. And you can go through any one of these things on here, the parks. I mean, the $4 million we've spent out at Bicentennial Park. I mean, you look at the fields, you look at the bleachers, the fencing, everything out there, the roofs on the buildings. We've really handled a lot of substantial projects. We're getting ready to do the $2 million pathway down Embury and Cook Road. I mean, we budgeted for that over the past 4 years, so that will come into fruition through the efforts of this board. What else? The new building, the garage out at the park for, we had park staff that didn't have a bathroom to use during the winter out there, or a place even to get warm after working all day out in the cold, or a place to repair tractors and that sort of thing. What else? Our Point North Business District. One of the things that we had a concern with was north of Hill Road, that, it's one of our older parts of our township, and we don't want to see it neglected just for the new parts that are being built. And so we've started a project with the business owners along here, and one of our main efforts has been to get the lighting, and we've run into lots of roadblocks with consumers, but it's on schedule to eventually have 90 lights between Hill Road and Maple Road on Saginaw Street, which will light up this area incredibly. And that was one of the things that the business owners and a number of the residents said that they wanted. A sidewalk up here was something that's desperately needed. We can see that there's kind of a patchwork of sidewalk along Saginaw Street here between Hill and Maple. We're going to apply a $200,000 federal grant towards that. It's not going to cover the entire length of where we need sidewalk, but it'll definitely get us started in that vein. The other things up here, the beautification, we put flowers in a number, about 12 different potted flower things. We organized a beautification committee. We cleaned up close to 3 tons of trash this spring alone with our cleanup committee. We had 3 MTA buses full of people that drop people off at the overpasses, at the intersections, and pick that, 3 tons of plastic and paper. That's a lot. About 150 volunteers, and we're looking at growing that even beyond that. What else? Just to highlight, the thing that a lot of people don't understand is that pension and OPEB funding. We took that from 13% funding on the post-retirement benefits when we started this thing, and we're at 95.5% or 96% funded. That was a $45 million hole that we were looking at. And through our efforts with the unions here, the 6-7 unions, the commitment to paying money towards that, cash towards it, we paid that down and we're at 95% funded, 96%. That's unheard of for a local for any municipality in the area to make that kind of strides. And even on the retirement, going to 73% funded is just unheard of. And, Dave served in the state legislature and can tell you that looking at the municipalities around the state, one of the reasons why the state was trying to put some teeth into making municipalities pay those debts down is that they see danger signs ahead for communities that don't pay that debt down. That debt is just compounding, and we're taking care of that. And what's that mean for our residents? It means that we're not going to have to raise taxes just to pay down previous retirements that were given out, right? And we're also grateful to our employees for working with us on helping us to make that a reality. With that, I think, the other thing we've done is enhance code enforcement. That, when I first started, we didn't even have code enforcement officers. We used police officers, and really, in talking to our previous chief, it was not a good use of our police resources to be doing code enforcement. We've hired, 2 retired Flint police officers for our code enforcement, plus we have a full-time individual that works in that area. And yes, believe it or not, we still are very active, and they are busy every day that they're in here. And it isn't to fine people, it's to show people what our standards are. And I think our board's committed to making sure that we have high standards here in Grand Blanc Township. Otherwise, we really don't have anything. Our infrastructure, with our DPW, the system that we have here for water and sewer is second to none. And I think anybody in the county or anybody in the state looking at our system would tell you that's the case. We've been committing funding to lining sewers. We televise them. We have a cleaning process. Our crew works phenomenally to make sure that our infrastructure, even though it's not seen, that it's well maintained. And so I'm very proud of everything that we've been able to accomplish. I think that this board was, our social media presence too, we didn't even really have a social media presence when this board started. We with Melissa's help and with Michaela Phillips, we have a social media presence that not only informs people, but also works with the culture here of our employees and helps with that as well. So thank you for helping with that. But in reality, I think we were very wise when we first started out to put together a strategic plan. And I commend the board members for taking the time away from, we spent a couple of days actually meeting with the facilitator to come up with what it is that we want to accomplish. And then our department heads took those ideas and said, how can we make these reality, and what kind of timeline do we need to make these happen? And Dennis won't admit to this, but he told us, don't worry about the budget. I'll get in trouble for telling him, but he was just saying, let's look at the blue sky and let's figure out where we want to go, and then we'll figure out how to get there. And we have done it within budget, and we haven't raised taxes to do it. We've actually saved, tons of millions of dollars through our efforts and with Mr. Lemata's efforts and the department heads. And that's what's allowed us to be able to move forward on some major projects like the pathways and like the DPW and fire stations. So I commend this board for taking the time to help put together this strategic plan so that we can accomplish more than just approving the purchase of trucks and vehicles. But those words will forever hang in my mind, Paul, and I think it's very true for all of us that we wanted to accomplish more than just the typical agenda allows. So thank you to everybody on our board for your commitment to making this happen, and thank you, Melissa, and department heads for helping us to make this list a reality. Matt, all of you guys, chiefs, DPW guys, Nate. So with that, anybody have anything else that they want to mention on this? I know I'm making it into a long meeting, but
Item 9A, Mr. Supervisor.
too late for that. Okay.
9A.
All right, with that, I'm hearing that we want to move on. So we will move to item 9A under new business, and the board will consider a motion to award SLC Meter LLC a contract to be the vendor and installer for our meter replacement program to replace approximately 4,941 meters and 8,440 endpoints over the next 24 months for the projected cost of $964,140.38, and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related contracts, documents, and POs. Good evening, gentlemen. Mr. Cooley?
So this goes back to, we coming from the board back in May to bring on a partner, DLZ Consulting, to help us initiate this program and put this together for our meters. Currently, we have several thousand meters that are coming to the end of their life cycle, and we needed to move forward to change those meters out and to come up with a better program to give residents more ability to have more knowledge about what's happening with their water costs, on a real-time basis. So, like I say, we partnered with DLZ, and we went through a process to put together a RFQ. There was a group put together, myself, Assistant Director Boggs, and a couple of the employees from DLZ, to put together this RFQ and receive the bids. And those bids come back in, we set up a scoring diagram, and, we worked to go through those bids and figure out who was the best qualified contractor. As you read in there, SLC Meter stood out from everybody. And, during this whole process, this has been an ongoing process long before I was here. And Assistant Director Boggs has a lot of background and history on how we got to the point we're at. And then we also have our partners from DLZ and SLC here so that they can speak on this as well. And I'll let Greg talk more.
Okay, good. Thanks, Mr. Cooley. Mr. Boggs?
Good evening. So back in around COVID time, 2021, we identified about 5,000 meters that were very aged. We've got still meters out there from the 1980s, late 80s, early 90s, and as meters get older, they slow down, efficiency goes down, we lose revenue. We obviously buy our water from Genesee County Drain Commission, so water used is water billed. So over time, we've talked to consultants and whatnot, and we found the best way is to hire a consultant to run a program. So the first step, we brought on DLZ. You guys approved that in May. The second portion of this is to find a qualified vendor to supply meters and a system that is more up-to-date than what we're using now. I have Robbie here with DLZ, Ryan, president of SLC, and Jim Thompson, sales with SLC. To
Okay.
kind of explain the process. We did a request for qualifications. We scored it out. SLC came to the top, and let's share more about their project. We can bring them up and
Sure.
kind of show you what the benefits of replacing these meters and going to a different system that can benefit not only our customer service, but our residents.
Very good.
We all have consumers' energy bills. We can see how to track our energy usage, but we never had that with water. Now we will be able to provide that to all our residents. And
Yeah.
also leak alerts that can detect leaks on unwarranted usage.
Right.
In our system. So
Very good.
with that, I'll bring up these gentlemen and we can fight on who talks first.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Robbie Woodell. I'm with DLZ. stood before you at Prague City in May, I believe it was. It's been a privilege so far to work with Mr. Boggs, Mr. Cooley, to come on board, kind of see this project get off and running, and put out there. So I'll just speak quickly on the selection part of this that we went through. We went through with an RFQ and requested this request for qualifications to come in. Received a great response. There were 4 different categories, which are a supplier and a installer combination. So that was great to see. And then from there, the way the RFQ works, it's a quality-based selection. So you're focusing on the needs of the township and the product that's put forth, and even the installation and work plan, and communication plan. It all comes together. It's not just solely about that the bottom line. So as they stated, SLC just stood above the rest. There's a full selection committee, individual scoring brought together, and each individual member was seeing it the same way after reviewing the 4 qualification submittals. So very happy about that. Looking forward to this project and representing the township, and I think this is going to be another one to add to your strategic plan you're talking about. This is going to be a big project that all your residents are going to see, are going to understand, and they're going to feel the benefits out of it at the back end. So I think it's going to be something to be proud of. But I'll
Very good.
SLC, speak.
I'll wait till you get it plugged in, and I'll switch it over after you get it plugged in. Okay.
Thanks for having us. Jim Thompson with SLC Meter. Greg asked us to put together a couple slides to kind of show some of the highlights of the meters themselves, the software, and then the customer portal. So kind of go through things. SLC, we've been in business since 1979. We're not a new company. We've done 85 other similar projects where you've got your meter reads being accessed and collected without having to roll a truck out, and that's since 2010. So we're very active in the state of Michigan. We do have the staff and the talent to come in and do all of this work turnkey. So everything you see on their scheduling, installing, project management, training, we cover all that, and we certainly are an experienced group as well. The meters that the township has chosen, ultrasonic is a newer technology, but it's very proven. And Greg kind of touched on it. As meters get older, they slow down. Well, ultrasonic, there's no moving parts, so there's nothing to slow down. The meter accuracy on day one will be the meter accuracy on its last day, which is fantastic for the township. Whatever you're purchasing from water and waste, you'll be able to record. The meters have a 20-year warranty, which is fairly standard, and that warranty covers accuracy as well, which is not necessarily standard. So Badger really stands by their product.
So a 20-year battery life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's incredible.
It is incredible. Yep. The same ultrasonic technology is going to be used in your residential and your commercial meters. Again, we're going to get 20 years out of them, that's the industry standard. That's the life expectancy of a meter. Getting the reads from the meters to the township and then also to your customers. Use a cellular endpoint. Right now, you guys use a radio style endpoint. Most of them are mounted on the outside of the home. We'll continue to do that. The intention is to install those on the outside of the home. Gives the best ability for the signal to reach its destination. One of the beautiful things about cellular is you don't have to own the infrastructure. You let Verizon and AT&T worry about that, and they're well equipped for it. If a tower goes down, they'll have it restored rather quickly. In this case, that device is the tower for each meter. If one goes down, you lose a meter read. Same 20-year warranty on them. This is a quick snapshot of the software. I've got some experience running similar systems. First time I saw this software, I said that it looks like the billing coordinator and the guy answering the phones wrote the software. It's extremely user-friendly, customizable. Each user can tailor it to what they want. And being able to do that, being able to quickly see the highlights of the system makes everybody more efficient. You're going to quickly know, do I have any meters having any problems? Somebody could spend 5 minutes a day on this and do a really good job. The customer portal side, this is what I think is one of the more exciting aspects as well, where now you can turn it over to your customers, your water use. Nobody realizes how much water they use until you show them. And we can bring that right to every single customer with every single meter. These are screens this is exactly what the customer will see. They'll be able to see their usage and track their usage and compare their usage one day to the next or 1 month to the next. They'll be able to set up their own alerts. You can have them sent to an email, sent to a text. It works. We've seen a couple of experiences where somebody was alerted because they had a leak they had no idea was happening.
Yeah.
And it saved them a very large water bill.
Sure. Especially if they're out of state for the winter or something like that.
Precisely.
Yep. Customers can access this in either web-based or there are apps for iOS and for Android. The great thing about it is the data they're going to see, the form of it, is just like what the folks here at the Township are going to see. You could literally walk somebody step by step, telling them, no, it's in the top right corner of your screen. The app, I'm going to go through a couple snapshots where this is what the app will look like. So, there's an example of an alert. You have an ongoing leak, a continuous flow of 1/4 of a gallon per hour. And the customer will be able to set up those parameters so that they're not getting an alert they're not interested in.
Most importantly, too, for the Ion Water app, this is the technology that Badger owns. Most of the other manufacturers out there, they rely on a third party. So if something were to happen between that manufacturer and that third party, you may or may not end up with all that data. Badger owns it. So extremely important when it comes to customer portals, having the manufacturer stand behind that process.
Does this integrate with, when I'm looking at the app, can I see the gallons used and what have you, but is there anything that shows me how many dollars worth it's at? I'm probably getting ahead here in the. I know this is translating into. I'm looking at that and thinking, I hope that isn't somebody's water bill right there, but.
But, it's, the entire system, it is a complete system and it's a complete solution. The meters, nothing to wear out. You're going to get the accuracy for the life of the meter. And that really gets you the best return on your investment. You have to read meters and you have to have a system to do it. It just makes sense to spend your dollars wisely. Not owning any collector equipment, why own it if the cell companies are willing to do so? They'll quickly get those towers back up and running because obviously we all rely on cellular technology more than we
Right.
wish. But the software really is the easiest to use. The ability for each user who's working in that system every day to customize it so that they can focus on the parts that are important to their job will just help them use their time much more wisely. Something else to be aware of for the township's perspective, Greg and Al will be able to get pressure and temperature information through the beacon. Those are key factors in knowing the quality and health of your water system. Temperature and pressure are huge factors of that. That's every meter that's 3 inches and larger, that's going to come back. And then looking forward, you can even get into chemistry analyzers, bring that data into that same beacon software. Measure chlorine residual and pH, for example. You don't need a programmer, don't have to have expensive equipment to bring the data back. It's very simplified.
Interesting.
Yes.
Good.
Would it measure like arsenic level?
So Badger specializes in dry chemistry, not having to add any reagents. Arsenic is a much more involved test. It's not one that they currently have. But
The county's probably testing for that at their point of,
good news is surface water, you don't see a lot of arsenic. Groundwater, I live out in Franklin Township. I know about arsenic, so.
we'll sell you some water. What's that?
Jim also retired from Genesee.
Okay. So our water is all surface water from Lake Huron, so city of Grand Blanc uses wells, so it might be a different situation for them.
Yep, very much.
Yeah, so back to the monetary thing.
Right.
You're able to also create, within that app, your customers can not only look at their data, but they can pay their water bill through that.
Oh, really?
That is an option. So that monetary side of it,
Right.
they can constantly see where they're at with their billing.
Very good.
So it does much more than just keep.
Excellent.
notified if you have a leak.
That is phenomenal. How about, so when somebody comes in here, they're going to sell their home or whatever, and they want to transfer the water, so you can get the reading within minutes from that particular location or property. Jude?
So I saw on one of the slides it said water and sewer. One of your first slides, you had a sewer, one of the very first ones. Back.
One more?
Oh, maybe I didn't. Jeez.
Typically, water and sewer, if you've got both, you're going to bill your sewer volume according to your water meter volume, so.
So for people that have wells, this has no impact then? Zero?
Unless you want to go to meter sewer, Jude.
No, well, I mean, because isn't that how they? Right.
But we can meter a sewer though, right?
Yes,
It does happen.
Right.
We do have some commercial businesses that are still on wells, and we built them, we put a meter on their well, it's called metered sewer.
Okay.
So we can get their consumption, their sewage, actual usage on.
Right, because I thought they were kind of tied, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Got it.
Yeah, Joel?
Couple questions. We're getting $4 million for this, 5,000 water meters for 2 months, or for 2 years rather. After 2 years, are you coming back and saying we're going to do another 5,000 now? Or is this just for ones that are really bad?
Really bad. The remainder of our 3,800 meters are newer.
Okay. Also,
And this is for,
We're able to attach our reading device
Oh.
to your existing meters.
Nice.
So you're able, those assets will stay in place.
all right, let's,
Use us to acquire the information.
good. Let's go through a scenario, though. Let's say my house needs a new meter. You're going to call me or send me an email or a thing in the mail, and then do you have to come in my house?
Yes, all meters are located within the dwelling, otherwise they would freeze. Your remotes are what's on the outside of the home. So our average initiative with all of our customers are, you present a letter first to your residents, not to everybody, because there's no sense in someone getting a letter if they're at the end of that 24-month cycle. So we send out that initial letter through the township
we advise that you put it on your website, put that information out there, that you're working with SLC and that we'll be initiating this project. Once those letters have gone out and the residents call, while we're doing our installs, if we have lulls in the day, we hang a tag on the door, we'll knock on the door. We have the master list of who hasn't contacted for an appointment. So at the end of the day, your resident gets notified 4 times technically with that initial letter from you folks. So we have a call center Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. That will take calls from your residents to schedule appointments. We also have an online service. They're able to go on and select dates and schedule their own appointments as well.
And how long does that process take to?
Typically 30 minutes.
I'm not going to wreck my day.
No. No. Yeah, Mark?
So are our residents doing business with you? Are you interacting with them somehow?
We have to interact with them, of course, to get into their home to complete the change out. So
Okay.
the interaction with us, the initiative comes from you folks. The interaction does occur with us for scheduling, repeat scheduling. You know, if we go into a home and it's behind their drywall, or
Sure.
we have to have access.
Who's billing them?
We are.
We're paying the cost. Yeah, we're picking up the cost of those, not them.
How is this going to affect, long-term, is it going to affect our water rates? I mean, there's got to be something.
We built this into our rate model already, as far as the whole meter and the capital improvements. So this is built into the rates already. I mean, this has been something we've been looking at for quite a while. We knew that these were going to have to be replaced. One of the problems we had was that, you know, not to bring up COVID again, but, you know, I'm surprised we were able to move this quickly on getting meters, because for a long time, we couldn't get the existing meters that we have because there were no computer chips for them to make them. And I know, you know, that's the case with a lot of the meters that are out there, from what I understand, but maybe it's changed, but. Dr. Reardon?
Yeah, and that was one of the points that I was going to make. This isn't coming out of our general fund. This was the
No.
enterprise
Right.
fund. So the taxpayers already
Yeah.
kind of took care of that. But secondly, for you folks, I still know people that wear masks and don't want people in their house without wearing masks. Would you guys wear the masks?
If they would like us to wear masks, we absolutely will.
Okay.
So just to clarify on that, so the rate model for people's water and sewer and all that incorporates, you know, the long-term costs for, you know, whether it's putting in new lines where we need them, what have you, new meters, all that's built into our rate model. And so as far as paying for these, that comes out of that fund that's built by our rate model. You know, and I mean, things need replacing. I mean, it isn't just meters, but pumps, you know, all kinds of things, valves, you name it. So this is just one piece of that whole puzzle that we have to make sure continually works. And, you know, yeah, and like Mr. Boggs was saying, Mr. Cooley, and we're actually one of Genesee County's largest customers in terms of water customers. We need to make sure that, you know, we're paying the water bill to them, that we buy it wholesale, and we're selling it, you know, retail to the customers. We need to make sure that it's accurate in terms of how we're getting paid, because otherwise we have to make up the deficit here, right? And we can't use tax dollars to do that. It has to all come out of our enterprise fund of all the ratepayers. So if you're on, you know, on a well, you're not paying, you're not part of that rate structure that's paying for this project. It's basically the ratepayers that are paying for this. So, what else? Anything else? Dr. Reardon?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
Motion on item 9A by Raridan.
Supported by Mr. Fike.
Supported by Fike. Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Look forward to the project. I think that software will be very handy for a lot of residents. I know, I've been here when people do come in that have had whether it's a toilet running the whole time or something else while they've been in Florida for the winter, and they come back and they have it. I know our people in the DPW run into those people, and it's not a pretty situation when they realize that the bill that they have waiting for them when they get back is significant. So this is going to help greatly with that, to avoid those kinds of issues. With that, we'll move on to item B. The board will consider a motion to approve the quote for builder's risk from Selective Insurance Group obtained through the Township's property and liability broker, Diebold Insurance Agency, for the construction of the new DPS and fire department buildings. This is insurance to cover during the construction phase. We've seen, windstorms blow down construction projects. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but you need insurance for those kinds of things. So, somebody care to make a motion on that?
I just have a question.
Sure.
Do we know roughly how much this is, or, I mean?
It's in the packet here.
It's in the packet.
I believe, here.
Okay.
14,000?
Roughly.
Yep. Right here.
So do we have a motion on item 9B, Mr. Supervisor?
I'll make the motion.
Yes. Ms. Hugo makes that motion.
Ms. Hugo makes the motion, supported by
Dr. Reardon.
Dr. Reardon. Okay, supported by Reardon. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Reardon. Yes. Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item C, the board will consider a motion to approve a quote to purchase and install IT networking equipment for the future DPW building and fire station from Teoma Systems for $32,520.62 and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related contracts, documents, and purchase orders. Good evening, Mr. Lucevelt.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So this is part of the majority of, we have a bunch of things we're doing for the IT stuff over at the new building. This is the start of that. This is the network switches and some of the networking stuff that we're putting in place and the installation for that. It's also for the Wi-Fi access points and the installation for those. I was able to get the pricing down on these network switches back to the same pricing that we had in 2021 because it was increased, but we have to act on it quickly because I think that the manufacturer is putting the sale in place because they're trying to end off the year with more sales. So I'm trying to get this equipment purchased as soon as possible.
You think that what's happening towards the end of the year, Mr. Lucevelt, that the price is going up, or?
Well, the price already is up, but I was able to work with Teoma Systems, and they were able to talk to the vendor who makes the network switches to get the price down to where we paid for we bought these same switches in 2021 when we did this building.
Okay.
And the police station. I noticed the price was increased since then, so we negotiated it down, but they're only going to hold that until the end of the year.
Okay. Well, we want to use the same switches too, so we're not.
Yeah, regardless, we're going to have to use the same ones, and those will be more expensive after the year, so.
Yep. Okay. Somebody care to make the motion, or any thoughts? Mr. Fike makes that motion.
Mr. Fike makes the motion on item 9C, supported by
Mr. White.
Mr. White. Supported by White. Trustee Reardon.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White. Yes. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lucevelt. Okay, item D, the board will consider a motion to approve Resolution 24-38 to accept the terms of the project agreement for the Embury Road and Cook Road Shared Use Pathway, TF 23-0125, as received from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. We have Ms. Roberts. Good evening.
And you all have been made aware of this grant, and this is simply just the resolution accepting the grant.
Right.
Okay. If a motion's in order, Mr. Supervisor, I will make that motion.
Ms. Hugo had her hand up to make that, but one of you
I'll support it.
Okay, you'll support
Motion by Robertson,
Robertson.
supported
by Ms. Hugo.
enthusiastically by trustee Hugo. Thank you.
Yes. I just want to mention real quick here, just real quick, we are still trying to acquire some easements along there. We've got one party that wants more money than what we were proposing for a portion of the property that we need for that pathway. So we are still working with that property owner to try and figure out something, but hopefully we can do that soon.
Shall I proceed with the roll
Yes,
call, Mr.
please.
Supervisor? Trustee Fike?
Yes.
Trustee White?
Yes.
Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Trustee Raridan?
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. Item 10, future agenda items. One thing that Mr. Limita and myself, if you have any questions with regard to the budget, please forward those to Mr. Limita or myself, and we'll be prepared to present any information at the meeting on the 29th. And then also just a reminder that on the 29th, the board meeting is going to be held in the community room over at the police department. We'll be having the 9 days of early voting starting, and that will be in this room here. So October 29th, just remember, we'll be meeting in the police department community room. With that, any board reports? Dr. Reardon, anything to report?
No, but I will have a question later.
Okay. Go ahead.
Right now, I'm just curious, maybe through you to Mr. Laddie, on, I know we normally don't comment on this stuff, but that noise ordinance, is there something that exempts, like or golf courses or?
No, there's not a specific exemption for golf courses, but what we try to do is we try to consider the use of the surrounding properties and the level of commercial or machine activity, particularly if it's close to a residential property line or a district. And so what we tried to, and we had some discussion about our noise ordinance back in the spring, because these types of complaints aren't unique necessarily. And so what we try to do is we try to work on a long-term solution for the folks who may be bothered by the activity that's occurring. And I understand that's the process right now. I think code enforcement is gathering, they are gathering facts. They're putting together some evaluation points regarding the ordinance, and by the way, I'm involved in this, but Mr. Delzer has handled the lion's share of your criminal cases over the last several years, and I've handled the code enforcement cases, and he's becoming more and more involved in those code enforcement cases, but because this one involves Warwick Hills, I'll be handling this case, depending on what route it takes. And again, the township is aware of this at all levels. We're having discussions and trying to work on a kind of a long-term resolution. And so all those things are being taken into consideration, and we'll come up with something. There'll be some resolution to try to make the situation better.
Maybe after the meeting, I have a suggestion that you could bring up.
Sure.
You know, there's probably a number of those types of issues in terms of that we're looking for long-term solutions. You know, one of them that hasn't come before the board, but I know we've had discussion with staff and what have you, is the whole thing surrounding fireworks and some of the golf courses. You know, we don't want to discourage wedding business or what have you, because that's how some of these places, make their livelihood or make the venues viable, right? Is being able to rent these for various occasions. But we also want to consider, the residents that live near these places too, so that if they're having fireworks every weekend, it isn't the most pleasant place to live, is next to, a golf course, a country club, or clubhouse that has fireworks every weekend because of a wedding. So, what do you do in that case? you limit them for a certain number per year at that location? Or do you just say, no, we're not going to allow special event fireworks, in the township other than on the specified holidays? So that's another long-term issue that we've been struggling with. There's a number of long-term things we've been, looking at, even sump pumps draining into the roads. It's an issue that was brought before us a couple weeks ago, right? And it's something that we have to get multiple levels of our county government involved as well, because they own the roads and the drains. So, but I appreciate, everybody's creative mind going to work to see what we can do to resolve the concerns. Mr. Fike?
I agree that we can work this out, I feel, and we should be getting back to her about this. She shouldn't, if she's getting the runaround, like she says, or something, we need to call her back and deal with it.
Yeah.
And maybe there can be a special case where, they mow it near her house later and not at that hour, and, let's work this out. She can't get a night's sleep, and
I'm not going to assume that we aren't.
Yeah.
But, I assume that we are going to work it out, and maybe there's been some communication.
Yeah, and again, Mr. Smith's not here tonight, but I know he's acutely aware of the facts, and I know he's been again gathering facts, and he's proposing possible resolutions for it. So, and whether or not he's gotten back with the complainant or not, I don't know the answer to that. But this issue is not falling on deaf ears, no pun intended.
Okay, good.
With that, anything, Ms. Hugo?
I was not at the Planning Commission last week. I know you and Mr. Bush talked briefly at the centennial celebration about the moratorium, the gas station moratorium.
Yeah, this board I asked the board to place a moratorium on any additional gas stations being approved in the township. And then it came to light that Rite Aid was closing all their locations, and I think that while we didn't have that necessarily, or at least the board didn't have that in mind, it was a concern that I had. The Planning Commission is looking at a number of, and Mr. Laddie probably can comment on this better than I can, but from what I understand, they're looking at a mile distance between gas stations. I have some concerns with the distance between residential areas and gas stations, because I'd like to see, I believe, for example, used car lots in Grand Blanc Township require a 500-foot distance between the property of the used car place and the residence. I'd like to see something similar for fueling stations. Now, whether or not, somebody brought up the fact, what about, electric car charging? The problem that I see with gas station, the reason why, it's unique, if a place builds a pizza shop, somebody can convert that to a card shop tomorrow. A gas station, once it goes in and those tanks go in the ground, there's no converting it over next week to some other type of business. Those gas stations typically, when they don't make it, they sit vacant for years, if not decades, and nobody wants to, take on the expense of digging those tanks out. So it's either going to be a gas station forever, or you're going to have to get the state involved to use some of their funds to get rid of it. And we've had that situation here in our township in numerous locations where we even have some properties right now that aren't buildable because of former gas stations being on them.
I don't believe, Mr. Supervisor, that they have much money at the state anymore in the MUSTFA fund.
Well,
it was exhausted some time ago, was it not?
Yes, and we're going to leave Atlas Township out of that for the moment. But Supervisor Bennett's exactly right. The Planning Commission is involved in trying to come up with some proposed regulations that would likely take the form of they would be a part of a special land use approval for gas stations. And so if there is a text amendment that will come to you for a decision, the Planning Commission will hold the public hearing, but you'll be the ones that ultimately decide it. So begin to think about this issue, and the proposal is to try to, from a planning perspective, space out disruptive activity while still providing a level of service to all residents in the township. We know gas stations are necessary. We're just trying to figure out what's the best way to make sure they're properly located in the township. And I remember the old days of it seems like you would have an intersection with four corners and you have a gas station on 2 or 3 or 4 of them. And so that was not a very satisfying way for those to develop. They've also changed in form. There's often a convenience store attached to them. There can be fast food restaurants attached to them. So it's good the Planning Commission's looking at what a modern gas station looks like, plus convenience store and whatever. And it's good they're looking at ways to spread them out, to provide services, but also to minimize impacts. And again, this is the second issue we're talking about tonight, where we're trying to balance activity and services with people's right to quiet enjoyment of their property. And it is always a balancing act, and we're always working on it.
Mr. Gilmer, anything?
No, I'm all set.
Clerk Robertson?
We have processed and mailed out just over 10,000 absentee ballots, and we're receiving many back. I think we've got, of the 10,000 approximately we sent out, we've got 3,600 returned already.
Let's move quickly. That's great. Mr. Reich, anything?
I do. We are members of Metro Alliance, Metropolitan Alliance, and this is a group of jurisdictions from all over Genesee County. Everybody's in Metro Alliance, City of Clio, Argentine Township, Bedford Township, and Grand Blanc Township. And they say they're raising our dues by $15 a year. So it's not huge. But a couple other things real quick that on their agenda tomorrow. Apparently there is a US 23 corridor study.
Yeah.
See, we've had problems on 23, and they're looking at all that, but they've been delayed, so they're extending that till next year, the results of that study. Also, there's this thing called the Transportation Economic Development Fund, and the state House and Senate are considering a bill that would basically decrease funding for Genesee County by $10.4 million over the next 4 years for roads. And so we need, I feel, to urge our state legislators, don't approve that. We need every dollar we can get for roads. So they're going to talk about it tomorrow. There's a proposed amendment before the Senate and the House.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reich. Anything, Mr. White? Okay. Mr. Laddie, anything?
No, sir.
Just a couple of brief notes here. I want to make mention of the groundbreaking that we had yesterday. I thought it went off very well, and I would like to thank Melissa Roberts, Megan Delano, Matt Kimmer, Chief Burdette, Greg Boggs, Michaela Phillips, Al Cooley for your help with making that happen. I think it was a fabulous event to kick off something that is historical in nature and going to really, I think, help that area too of Dort Highway to come back to life even more. There's several businesses along there that are expanding and cleaning up. MTA is going to double in size probably in the next couple of years, so all goes along with our Point North initiative as well. Also, the centennial celebration for our fire department, our 100th year anniversary, we celebrated that on Sunday out at Bicentennial Park. Unfortunately, the weather turned like ice cold that day, but we still had families out there, and what a great event. The Parks and Rec has had the Fright Night and so many different Harvest Fest. One of the things there's a video there's social media. Did Michaela put that together? I would urge everybody to take a look at the video. I think that's what you call it, the reel that Michaela put on our Facebook page. But it runs through all the different things going on in Grand Blanc Township over the past several days. It had, the grand opening down at Sullivan Distributing. It had Fright Night. And, if anybody's seen that, it's like, oh my gosh, the amount of activity we have going on in our township is just incredible when you include the Parks and Rec and the businesses and what have you. So that was quite impressive. Also, I heard today, I posted on social media after a meeting that I had this morning. I chair the advisory board for the Genesee County Road Commission Advisory Board, and one of the things that came up was that they received funding from the state for a roundabout at the corner of, or at the intersection of Baldwin Road and Fenton Road, which I've been telling everybody in our township that we do not have any roundabouts planned in Grand Blanc Township, which This is Mundy Township, everybody, so it is not Grand Blanc Township, it's in Mundy Township. But you've got a little bit of time yet, because the construction isn't going to start until 2026 on that project. Also, our meeting was held at the garage for the Genesee County Road Commission that is just completing construction, which is on Energy Drive up in, I believe it's just outside the city of Flint. I think it's Genesee Township. And wow, what a beautiful facility. Looking at it, I'm thinking the inside of our DPW garage might look a little bit similar. I'm sure ours would be a little bit better, but looks similar anyways. So with that, I think it's a wrap. So anybody have any closing remarks? With that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Supported by Mr. Fike. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 7:22 PM.